All right, ideal gas law, quick review. All right, so first of all, you do need to know the ideal gas law, which is PV equals NRT. All right, and then you need to recognize which unit goes with which. So I tend to write these down the side. I think it's an easier way to remember it, or an easy way to keep things organized. The R value is the gas constant. We'll always provide that for you. Kelvin moles. Okay, then the rest of them, you need to start thinking about what the variables are. So first of all, it says, what is the pressure? Well, right away then, I'm going to leave pressure as P to help me remember that that's what I'm solving for. And then I'm also going to remind myself that it's in atmospheres. Volume, looks like I've got 0.500 liters. For a volume N, remember that is the number of moles. So 0.577 moles. And then temperature is the 303 Kelvin. All right, so then it becomes substituting it in. So I've got PV equals nRT. Pressure, we've got volume, so I'm just going to put the volume in. And again, one of the things that I notice sometimes students make mistakes on is they don't put the letter in. They just put numbers in, and then they don't have anything to solve for. So make sure you're putting in whether you're using that letter, or you could use an X if that is something you're more comfortable with, and using the P. Like I said, I like to have the P or the V or whatever it is, because then when I get my answer, it reminds me what unit I need to put on it. All right, so then it equals the moles, 0.577. We've got R, and then we've got the temperature. All right, so then what I like to do is I will substitute. I will start on the side where I know everything. I multiply them together, and then I just have to divide by the number on the other side in order to get P by itself. All right, so if I plug these in, 0.577 times 0.0821 times 303 divided by 0.5, I end up with a pressure. And again, I need to think about sig figs. Looking at all these numbers, they all have 3 sig figs, so that's what I'm going to go with for my answer. 28.7. And then you do need a unit. Remember, it's pressure, so that is atmospheres. All right, and again, if you forget what one of the units is, we give you the R value, and in the R value, we give you all your possible units. So that is a really good tool to use. All right, let's try a second one. Okay. All right, what is the amount of F2 or fluorine gas? And so this is amount, so this is N, that is found, and then I have all my variables. So P, V, N, R, T. Okay, so it's going for amount. I don't know that, so I'm going to put this as N moles. Or again, you could put it as X. Actually, I'm going to change it to X just so you recognize that, hey, that is a possibility. Maybe that makes more sense to you. All right. The first number I see is a volume, 0.350 liters. Then I have my pressure, 0.99 atmospheres. And then I have my temperature. All right, so again, I start with my PV equals nRT and just substitute values in. So I've got 0.99 times 0.350 equals X, which is my number of moles, times 0.0821 times 318. All right, so now, again, I'm going to start mathematically. I'm going to start with the side I know. So I'm going to multiply those two together. And then what I need to do is, in order to get X by itself, I'm going to need to divide by the other two. So a couple of different ways. You just have to figure out what works best for you for entering this in. So I'm going to have 0.99 times 0.35. So I'm going to enter that in while I'm saying it. And then divided by 0.0821. And then you want to be careful. You also need to say probably divided by 318. Or you multiply the bottoms together. But if you type into your calculator 0.99 times 0.350, and then just say divided by, and then 0.0821 times 318, because of this, it is not going to give the number that you are expecting. And that's a pretty common thing. So sometimes what students do, you could put parentheses around that as you're entering it in, or you could put divided by in front of both numbers. You just have to figure out what works for you. And so our answer, again, I'm looking at sig figs, so I've got 2 sig figs in this value, so I'm going to round it for 2, 0.013, and this is going to be moles because it was N. Again, if you forget, you can check off in the R which things we already have, and then you're left with the one you don't have. There you go. Hope that helps.